What's up, guys? I am in the grow tent today and I'm going to be building this Mars Hydroponics DWC hydroponic grow system. It's built off of two 5-gallon buckets. They're actually stacked here and the rest of the kit is packed inside of it. It did come with some instructions. These instructions are more just a diagram, so let's get to building it. All right, I got all of the components unpacked from the buckets here. And this is a 2-bucket DWC or deep water culture system. I have done a DWC system on the channel before. I made some out of empty protein powder containers and a little fish tank pump, and it worked pretty good. I'm excited to do an indoor grow with these bigger buckets for sure though, and get some peppers over the winter. So the buckets will be full of water and nutrient solution, and then the plants themselves will be grown in these lids, which are net cups. Very big net cups. Actually, it's one of the reasons I really like this system. And then they'll be grown in this clay pebble medium. We're gonna have to rinse that off before we fill up the system. But for now, we're just gonna build the other hardware components. Looks like we got some rings to block light from getting in the buckets. That's always really nice to prevent any algae growth. And then we have sight gauges too, is this blue tubing, which I really like. So these buckets are obviously black to keep the light out, but with these tubes, we'll be able to see what the nutrient level is in the bucket. Some other components just for getting it hooked up, tubing, check valves, that sort of stuff. Another reason I really like this system is because it came with these drip rings, so it'll have the air stones going beneath and then be dripping from the top as well, and then the air stones themselves. So if it's deep water culture, so the roots are completely submerged in water, unlike a crack key system, you know, where there's an air gap. However, if they were just in stagnant water, it could introduce root rot. So DWC uses air stones to oxygenate the water and keep the roots healthy. For that, we have a pump. I got it in this box here over by my pineapples. Always fun to grow some pineapple tops. But the pump's in this box. We'll get it out later. And what's cool is the pump powers the air stones as well as the drip rings. So only one thing to plug in here. Okay, I'm starting by putting together these drip rings, and there's a little step that's not mentioned in the manual. You have to punch out these little holes, little pieces of plastic, in the bottom of the net cup basket, just so the drip rings tube can go through there and go up to the drip ring. At the bottom, we have a little T fitting that the air hose will connect to, and I guess it pulls the nutrient solution up through there somehow with Bernoulli effect or Venturi effect, something like that, with the moving air picking up some water. So I'm about to flip this over now, and our drip ring can just push on here. It's just push to connect fittings, which is pretty nice. All right, our water gauge tube came with a 90 pre-installed on the bottom end of it. And on this side of the bucket, we have these two holes that are aligned vertically. So the 90 is going to go in this bottom hole, and then a clip will go in the top hole to hold it. Got the clips right here. Both holes first though need one of these rubber grommets just to waterproof them. So I'm gonna put those in. Okay, the grommets are in. So now I'm going to put my clip into the top one. Not all the way though, so that that tube doesn't run into this lip here. And then my 90-degree fitting can just shove in the bottom one. That's in there pretty good. And then the tube can clip into that little clip to keep it steady. The last step here, and this is kind of a small thing, but they sent these tiny little red BB balls, just I guess to help you see where the actual water level is. So we just got to drop this in the tube. With the water gauge tube built, I've put our remaining grommets in the two holes that are left on the side of the bucket. That's going to be where our two air tubes go in. So that's really all that's left for us to do here, is to assemble the air tubing. I have unpacked the pump. Look at that shiny thing reflecting the grow lights. But as you can see, it has 4 outlets. We have 2 buckets, and each bucket has 2 holes. So we're gonna have 2 air lines going into each bucket. One of those air lines is going to go to the air stone in the bottom of the bucket, and then the other one of those air lines is going to go to these T connectors on the drip ring tubes. So we have a few more pieces of hardware that'll go on those air lines. We have these valves to control the amount of air going to the air stones. And then for every one of the lines, we're gonna put in one of these check valves just before our pump. And all these do is they limit water to only flow one way through them. So you can see this side says out right there. So we're going to put these on all 4 air lines just to protect our pump in the event of a power outage or something like that. You know, the water pressure could backfeed, flow down into the pump and destroy our pump. These will stop it. However, air can flow through them freely from one direction, from the pump into the bucket. Air can flow freely, but water could not flow back into the pump. So just a little bit of insurance on your pump there. I'm going to assemble some of these air lines now. Okay, so I've cut 6 small pieces of tubing, super easy to cut just with scissors, and I've put a check valve on the end of all 4 pieces coming out of the pump, and then added another short segment to 2 of those and added the valves to control air volume going to our air stones. So next we just need to take each one of these, put a longer piece on, going into holes on the buckets, and one of those will go to the air stone and one will go to the dripper. All right, so here is one bucket completed. I definitely have a lot of slack with the tubing. They sent plenty of it, so I just divided what I had left after the short segments into 4. I figure more slack can't hurt if I ever wanted to take these outside or something and spread them apart. You can see how I have done it up. Inside there's 2 tubes coming in. One goes down to the air stone and one goes into this T at the bottom of the drip emitter. And again, that's just a push to connect there. I think the hardest part of this whole project was getting the tubing through the rubber grommets here on the side of the bucket. And I am definitely gonna have to get some soap or something to get those to properly seat in there. But that's it for the actual bucket build. Only took a few minutes. Next, I'm going to go wash off these clay pebbles, and then we'll get this thing fired up. And all of this water that I'm rinsing the clay pebbles with is coming straight out of my rain barrel. My rain barrel solar-powered pump system has been functioning really well, so be sure to check out that video on my page if you haven't. All right, and here's our final system up and running. It's all put together. I do have the reflective covers off of the grow medium right now just so that you can see how these drip rings are working. They work really well. It's impressive that we just have this air pump. There's no water pump here, just the air. And the air pump is running this ring. It's drawing water or nutrient solution up from the bottom of the bucket. I can show you a peek at the air stone running in the bucket as well. So we got the water being aerated, and then that black tube is the one coming up to this ring, providing the drips. So the rings work really well. I think my one complaint with this system is the noise they make though. They do make this kind of spurting noise that's just constant. But anyway, the pepper plants will definitely enjoy it, and they're enjoying it so far. I just put these in here like a week ago, and I hard pruned them back. So these are both white fatale plants from my outdoor garden, and now that it's winter, I hard pruned them and brought them in. I did that just to prevent any bugs from riding in on them into the tent. They're already bouncing back though. They do have some buds on them, so I think they're gonna make it. I attribute a lot of that to the nutrient solution that I put in these buckets, and for that I used the General Hydroponics Flora series, and I mixed it in an aggressive vegetative growth formula. So that was 3-to-1 ratio, and I'll keep these plants supplied with it in that ratio until they grow and have some leaves, and then we might switch to a flowering or fruiting formula. But I am going to wrap this video up here. I hope this video was helpful if you're trying to put together this system or build a system of your own, maybe on a DIY route. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will provide some update videos on these plants here soon. These are going to be my winter plants, so looking forward to getting peppers all winter from them. Thank you again for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe if you haven't. See you on the next one.